All right, welcome to the Ball Rock Pill podcast, where we talk about basketball and success on and off the court. I'm your host, Coach Koran Godwin, professional skills trainer, University of North Florida, former all-time leading scorer, someone that broke my record, but Hall of Fame basketball player. And I'm here with my co-host, Stephen Bardo. You guys remember him from taking Illinois to the Final Four, Illini, and also had some stints in the NBA, tons of experience, and now he is a basketball analyst. You've seen him on ESPN, Big Ten Network, and Fox. Steven, how you doing?
Doing great, Koran. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm great. The weather's starting to change here in the D.C. area, so, I'm feeling a lot better. How are things in your area, Chicago?
Well, as I look outside right now, we got about 1.5 inches of snow going. April's a cruel month weather-wise in Chicago because it's schizophrenic, man. Sometimes it's beautiful, sometimes it's like this. So, I won't complain too much, but hopefully we get some of what you guys are starting to enjoy right now.
And I think today's show is definitely going to be centered around the LeBron James effect. As we all know, he's a guy that came in the NBA and he really changed the mindset, I think, of a lot of basketball players, because not only did he bring his team, which most people bring their friends, the family, Uncle Larry and the guys, but LeBron kind of changed the game because he had these guys trained. His agent now, of course, is rich, and he's a guy that when LeBron was with CAA, he was able to be on staff and really learn from the inside out. So give me your thoughts on LeBron's philosophy and how he was able to bring his friends along this journey as it relates to developing them as professionals.
I think it's wonderful, Koran, what LeBron has been able to accomplish with his inner circle, because, somewhere along the way, someone made it very apparent to LeBron and very important that if you're going to maximize this opportunity, then you need to have people around you that you trust. And who better to trust than guys that grew up with you, that are from a similar background, that kind of know your family situation. So the fact that, he's been able to basically at 18 say, guys, here's the deal. We know I'm going to be a franchise, but I need a team. And it's funny, I go back, Koran, to when I was playing with the Detroit Pistons. And Joe Dumars and Mark West took me under their belt. Mark West was a financial advisor while he was playing in the off seasons professionally. Mark West.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Mark West was a kind of a bruising big man. He wasn't a big man that would fare well in today's game, but he was a great defender. He would score when given the opportunity. He would run the floor. But he was a guy that understood he wasn't going to get a big-time contract. He made millions, but he wasn't going to get that mega contract.
There you go.
So he was a financial advisor in the offseason. What a lot of people don't understand, Joe Dumars owns 3 different companies. One of his companies, he and 2 partners, they go to Europe every year and scout out 2 to 3 companies that they give a cash infusion, but in return, they get 30 to 35% of the company. So think about that. He's been doing that every summer since his 10th season in the NBA. So I got wind of these types of mindset when I was playing NBA with the Pistons. But you fast forward to LeBron, he's just taking it to another level because Joe Dumars and Mark West didn't have guys who that they could train. They could go send to CAA. They could put Mav Carter through an NBA program. And as you mentioned, get him trained to where now when they're ready, now they have an empire. They have a small business. Mark West used to tell me all the time, Stephen, we're walking around as small businesses. We don't understand it. Anybody that makes over a certain threshold per year, you're considered a small business.
There you go.
And I think that, Koran, it's our charge, you and I, and Myson, who was with us as well, it's our charge to get these guys to understand, these basketball players, that you're small businesses and that you need to think of a team around you that you trust. And if they're not ready, get them ready. Get them thinking on those lines. Get them taking classes. YouTube, man, you could get a semester's worth of education just on YouTube. So I think LeBron has started something that I hope to see continue with other players.
Definitely, and I think that even going beyond his team, which he's done an awesome job of just having those guys cultivate a different culture in the NBA. Their philosophy. I think he's one of the first guys to say, okay, yeah, it's great that you want me to endorse your product, but I want ownership. And I saw that, I think you even mentioned before that he meets with Warren Buffett and one of the richest guys in the world, and guys that understand true wealth, because basketball is temporary.
That's
And
right.
there's tons of guys that made hundreds of $1,000,000 in endorsement, and once they're done, if they blow all their money, I mean, that's just it. But he's walking away with ownership.
Yep.
So what's your thoughts on that, on ownership first, and then him being able to talk to Warren Buffett?
Koran, ownership, as you well know, being a successful small businessman yourself, ownership is just basically a higher level of responsibility. A lot of times we get fooled as basketball players growing up that, I'll let somebody else handle that, or don't spend too much time, worried about that. You need to worry about everything if you're a basketball player, because you need to take a higher level of responsibility. And why not? Think about it, Karan. There's cryptocurrency out there.
Yes.
There's social media out there. These are new areas of investment that can really set you up. And the only difference between someone that's 16 years old, that's a non-basketball player, that's into cryptocurrency, and a 16-year-old basketball player that's not aware of cryptocurrency is basically investing your time and taking more responsibility for your future, and not allowing someone else to lull you to sleep and thinking that you can be a complete person by focusing just on your basketball skill development. That's a false narrative that unfortunately a lot of young basketball players find. And so I think that LeBron's approach about ownership is huge. It's huge. And all it is, in my opinion, because I like to break things down for younger people, it's just a higher level of responsibility. And the fact that he seeks out a guy like Warren Buffett. See, basketball players, you guys that are working with Koran, some of you have the ability to play at the next level. If you have the ability to play at the next level, you can get access to Warren Buffett. They want to talk to you as much as you want to talk to them. They admire your athletic ability and things that you're able to do in a split second in front of 20,000 people. Those are skill sets that CEOs and business owners want to have. And yet they recognize basketball players having it, Koran, better than we recognize it ourselves. And so here I'll give you a great example. Serge Ibaka went to the post-game press conference. And I posted something online because I wanted young basketball players to figure this out. Serge, in one press conference, spoke English, Spanish, and French fluently.
Fluently.
So now when he goes to Spain, he can look at business opportunities for ownership. When he goes to France, he can look at business opportunities for ownership. When he comes to the United States or to Great Britain, he can go to these places and speak the language. Now he's an international NBA player. So Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, the currency guy, George Soros.
Yep.
These people, they're gonna be intrigued by that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nowhere that he can't go as long as those languages are spoken. He's a good-looking, 6'10", well-articulate brother that happens to be an excellent basketball player. So his entry into Warren Buffett and these types are his ability to have multiple languages that he speaks. That's a game changer, and that's easy to do, Karan. So those types of things really excite me.
Now, if you had a son that was a lottery pick, let's say coming up in this year's draft, and obviously, these guys nowadays one and done. You got 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds, guys that haven't really had the opportunity to even study finance or branding or business. What should some of these guys do? Because you have to lean upon someone. What should these guys do?
I would say to, if your parents are available, sit down and ask your parents and look at the end right now. What do you want? What do you want to look like when you come out of this basketball experience?
Mm-hmm.
I would tell guys right now, Koran, to take the Myers-Briggs test. Figure out what your personality strengths are first. Figure out some of the things that you like to do. Myers-Briggs, there's free online classes that are not classes. They're just simple tests, choice, and then they'll spit out some careers that would align with what your interests are. That's the first thing I would suggest young players do. Second thing is to get with their parents or guardian or who they trust and talk to them about, after they take this Myers-Briggs test, talk to them about the possibilities of what you want to see your life look like when you come on the backside, come out of this basketball experience. Do you want to stay in the game? If so, what are some of the areas that you like? Because there's a ton of areas around the basketball business that can keep you near the game. If you want to get out in something else, you want to become a business owner, figure those things out and kind of have an idea of what you're looking at. And then third, I would try to find somebody that has done well with money. Yeah. And that's not necessarily a financial advisor. That could be someone like yourself, Koran, who's done pretty well with your money, that is shrewd about how you invest your time and your money. Find somebody that has done well, not necessarily a financial advisor. I'm more inclined, Koran, that young people find somebody that's done it before. Do they have successful barbershops? Do they have McDonald's franchises? Do they have these types of things that they've done themselves? Because if you find a successful small business owner, in my opinion, they are more likely to give you better financial advice than someone that calls themselves a financial advisor.
And now, and also, I think we had to dig a little bit deeper because, I trained some NBA guys and I've been around the block a couple of times, and obviously you have your agent who's an integral part of your team that negotiates, your contract, your shoe deals, and that type of thing. But you also have your business manager, and that's the person that everything goes through, from you buying a house to you actually consulting with a financial advisor. The business manager is the one that vets it, that looks at it, make sure this is a good opportunity. If you want to open up a laundromat or whatever you want to do, your business manager is there to be that person. Did you have a business manager when you were coming up?
No, I did not. I'm an Aries, and we have a hard time delegating things. It took me a while to learn that I can't do everything on my own, that I need to communicate a team. And so when I was playing, I didn't have one, and I didn't handle the money as well as I could have.
So is that one of the things that you would have done differently if you can rewind the clock, so to speak?
Yeah, I wouldn't have necessarily gotten a financial advisor. I would have definitely gotten a business manager, like you're saying.
Yeah, and I think it's also important because you get a business manager obviously deals with different types of entities, business, other athletes. So they have a wealth of knowledge, opportunities that may come across their desk that you may be interested in. Right. One of the things about LeBron James is talking about his effect, and obviously he's the reason why we're talking about this right now. But at the age of 18 years old, still living in the projects, he had a rush meeting with Reebok, I believe. Obviously, I think it's well noted that Sonny Vaccaro had him with Adidas, and they were going to wrap it up. The numbers didn't come out right, so he ended up going to Nike. But before all that, he had a meeting with Reebok, and the head of Reebok put a $10 million check in front of him and said, if you sign this right now, you don't have to worry about anything. We'll take care of you. And he walked away from that check, 18 years old, in the project. So what does that say about LeBron James to you, for him just having the foresight to say, if this is 10 million, then there's probably a lot more of that, coming my way?
I think what it says to me about LeBron is that he's a student first and foremost. I think he's much better, more well-read. Mm-hmm. You give him credit for. I also think there was someone in the background that trust during that time. They knew that he was in talks. They knew his relationship with Sonny Vaccaro. They knew that Nike was in play. They knew all these things. And for them to come into the projects and to drop a $10 million check, they were trying to get him for the cheap. That's a vulture. Okay. And so that's why when you mentioned the business manager, that's critically important for an 18-year-old. because at that point, things weren't as easily accessible to us as they are now in terms of on the internet, information, those types of things. They weren't as easily accessible then. But he had somebody that he trusts that said, LeBron, that's a fraction of what you're going to get. If you do something right now, we can get you something that will take care of whatever it is you're trying to do. Because remember now, he wasn't going to college. So there wasn't any, there weren't any infractions. There weren't any rules broken because he wasn't going to college. And so someone that has his skill set, that is in the project, should be able to get some assistance based on his future earnings potential. And so I think that's a great story to share with young people, in that all the glitters is gold, and that necessarily taking the first situation that looks good may not be your best move.
Yeah, and I think that goes to just knowing your worth, because as it played out, not only did he say no to Reebok and left that table, but the next table where they already had an agreed upon amount, I forgot what the number was, 80 million, 90 million, I forgot what the number was with Adidas, but when they looked at the paperwork, it was missing a couple million. And instead of saying, you need to correct this, they said, you know what, thank you, but no thanks. We agreed upon this. That's not the number we see here on this table. And they left the table. And as you see, they end up signing Nike, I believe 90 million or so. I forgot what the number is.
I think that was the first one, 90 million.
Yeah. And now you just seen LeBron be able to use that machine to the fullest. And even more impressive with the $1 billion deal that Mav and LeBron actually got with Nike, time deal. And that was very impressive to me. What is your thoughts on that? Him being able to secure, generations of wealth for a lifetime.
Koran, I was so pleased. I got teary eyed. I'm serious. When I first read about it and heard about it, and it's amazing because something like that should have been front page news everywhere.
Yeah, you're right.
A young man from Akron, Ohio, without his father, is able to really navigate this stuff, and he's been the most covered athlete ever. I don't care what anybody says. LeBron James has been the most covered athlete ever, from traditional media to social media to people like Skip Bayless making a career off of LeBron bashing.
Yeah. And
this young man has not made a misstep. Some think the misstep at the YMCA when he decided to go to Miami was a misstep. No, it wasn't. It raised $8 million for that particular YMCA, but that was lost in the mix. So LeBron James, to me, is by far my favorite basketball player on and off the court, that combination. And the fact that he's able to secure $1 billion deal with Nike. I want our listeners to go back and write down what $1 billion looks like. Take a pen and get paper and write that out, because a lot of us cannot comprehend $1 billion. That, like you said, that is, I'm not sure that there's been an African-American person, let alone maybe Bob Johnson when he sold BET to Viacom. Okay. I believe that was for like $1.2 billion or something like that.
Yeah, it was over $1 billion. Yep.
There haven't been very many $1 billion contracts for anybody on the athletic side. I'm almost positive of that. But just in general, there are not a lot of $1 billion agreements. And so for him to play out his career the way he has, have really no hiccups on the off court, seem to make all the right decisions, and then to be able to secure that deal with Nike, think how much money he's going to make Nike if they're going to give him $1 billion. That's unfathomable. And so I want the young people that are listening to Koran to really think about, write that out, write $1 billion out. You're not going to be LeBron James more than likely. But there's so much room under that to be a self-encased business. LeBron's a business. He's like Jay-Z, I'm a business man, right?
Oh.
And it's huge. That to me is just huge.
Yeah. And I'm just scratching my head, just wondering, where do we go from here? You talk about a man that owns part of a soccer team, I believe, overseas,
Mm-hmm.
ownership in McDonald's and various other corporations that have used his likeness and to promote their brand. Um, as you mentioned, the deal with Nike. What's next? You know, what is the next guy? Because this is putting a lot of pressure on that next guy that's coming up. You know,
That's
what's
true.
left to do?
Say the last part again, Koran.
So what's left to take this thing to the next level?
Oh, I think that, I've always been in the mindset that there's always more.
Okay.
There's always more opportunity. There's always more money. And I think that when I read a lot about big business because I like to understand markets. I was very ignorant, so to speak, to markets and market sizes and things of that nature. And so, I think that there's a huge area left for growth for basketball players. The continent of Africa is exploding right now. The continent of South America, in terms of basketball, is exploding. The continent of Asia is exploding. Stephon Marbury, former NBA guard, former New York City guard, has gone to China and reinvented himself. And he is a legend over there. He's got statues. He's won championships. He's set for life. And with all the development, the fact that China now, their middle class outnumbers some countries in terms of population, the amount of money and wealth and opportunity that reside in these areas outside of the United States, that's where I think the next frontier is. Kobe and LeBron are starting to do it. Kobe has ownership in a professional basketball team, I believe, in Italy. You mentioned LeBron's ownership in a soccer team. I believe that guys in the NBA can expand their reach. And, I think that that's where the next frontier is because I still think there's a lot of meat on that bone.
Oh, there you go. Well, Stephen Bardo, great first show. I think we covered a lot as it pertains to the LeBron James effect, and I think the listeners and viewers have a lot to think about. We touched so many different points, and I think that what you and I, along with Myson, want to do is just be able to give perspective of the game of basketball and how it leads to other avenues of success. And everyone sees what's going on the court, but what's going on off the court is sometimes even more important.
Yes.
Because that's where the contracts, that's when the real business is done, So great first show. Is there anything you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I just, I like what we're doing. I love these topics, and I think it's just so important that people that follow you, follow me, get a chance to really hear and soak this knowledge in because there's really nobody else breaking it down like this. So I love being on here with you, man. Look forward to the next one.
Well, there you go. Stephen Bardo. You can contact him at Stephen Bardo on social media. I'm Coach Godwin. Same thing, Coach Godwin on my social media as well. Till next time, Ball Rock Pill podcast. We're just talking about success on and off the court.